NASCAR's best teams have decided to go on planning something, which would be a bigger story than we realize. NASCAR teams are considering unofficial off-season races since they are having difficulty turning a profit. Is this legal? How everything is going to turn out? Hello Nascarians, welcome back to NASCAR Zone. But before we begin, do subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. As negotiations for new contracts continue, teams are currently looking for ways to increase their earnings. The teams have provided NASCAR with a proposal, but the response they received from the series was not satisfactory. When the year 2025 rolls around, NASCAR will be using a new television deal, as well as new charter contracts. In addition to that, a great deal will be changing if the teams have their way. At the moment, the funding of NASCAR teams comes primarily from sponsorships. This is in stark contrast to the vast majority of Major League sports, which get a significant share of the revenue generated by television. NASCAR is unlike any other racing series, since the teams do not control the venues in which they compete. Instead, there is a third person involved to determine how the pie should be divided. The majority of the tracks on the NASCAR schedule are owned by ISC owner, by NASCAR, and Speedway Motorsports LLC, and they earn the lion's share of the revenue by a significant margin. NASCAR was provided with a proposal by the recently established Team Negotiating Committee in the month of June. This idea advocated giving teams a substantially larger share of the TV money than they already receive. They did not receive a response from NASCAR until only the previous week. This reaction offered a glimmer of hope for a little rise in profits, but its primary emphasis was on finding ways for the teams to cut their expenses. The teams were hoping for a different response, and they did not get it. Since then, they have expressed their frustrations and indicated that they are far off from reaching a new agreement. Jeff Gordon remarked that there is a significant distance between us. The following is the statement that was issued by NASCAR. NASCAR is aware of the difficulties that are now being faced by race teams. An extension of the charter deal, which will further raise revenue and assist cut team expenses, will be a key goal moving ahead. The collective objective is to create a sport that is robust and healthy, and we will work together to achieve that. The negotiations are still in progress. By the 2025 season, the business model is anticipated to have undergone significant transformations. According to Jimmy Johnson, NASCAR income plummeted by 50%. The NASCAR Next Gen car was made available to drivers at the beginning of the 2022 season. Every team uses the same standard chassis, so there is no differentiation between them. The purpose of the automobile was to both reduce the financial burden placed on the teams and create a fair playing field. It is undeniable that it leveled the playing field as a result of the fact that there have been 19 different winners in NASCAR in 2022. What do you think about the current situation of teams not meeting their ends? Let us know in the comments section below, and do subscribe to our channel for future updates. Nevertheless, it is not entirely evident whether or not the teams have managed to save a significant amount of money. The rate at which teams go through parts is significantly more than it was the year before. Denny Hamlin, co-owner of 23XI Racing, revealed not so long ago that each car required a new underbody after each race at a cost of $50,000. So from where does NASCAR make money? Dover Motorsports Incorporated is the only corporation on Wall Street that is publicly traded, and it is the only company that owns NASCAR tracks. They publish detailed quarterly reports that cover both their revenue and expenses. These reports make it possible to have a more in-depth understanding of the sport's financial situation. In 2019, Speedway Motorsports Incorporated exited the public markets and entered the private sector. Also in 2019, NASCAR purchased International Speedway Corporation, putting their collection of tracks under the family-owned NASCAR umbrella. This purchase was made in 2019. In the year 2021, Dover Motorsports Incorporated held events at both the Dover International Speedway and the Nashville Superspeedway. The combined attendance income from both tracks was stated to be $5,786,000 by the corporation. During the Dover race, The track's capacity of 60,000 spectators was reduced to just 20,000 in order to ensure safety. The race in Nashville has reached capacity. Attendance at the Nashville Superspeedway was 38,000. 20,000 spectators were present at the Dover International Speedway. Attendance at the event brought in $5,786,000 for the firm in 2019 when the stands were filled to their maximum capacity. How much money is spent on NASCAR tracks? In addition, the corporation has anticipated that its expenditures for the year 2021 will be between $11 and $11.5 million. On racing weekends, they require a large number of part-time employees, but for the majority of the year, they can get by with a smaller crew. The majority of the costs for 2021 went into the resuscitation of Nashville Superspeedway, a track that had been idle for 10 years before the race that took place this year. In the realm of NASCAR, attendance doesn't even register as a blip on the radar. We're living in a digital world. What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments section below, and do subscribe to our channel for future updates. The two racing weekends combined to bring in a total of $26,750,000 in income for the racetrack through television broadcasts. That is the track's share of the television revenue all by itself. The actual revenue from television is significantly larger. The money made by broadcasting NASCAR races on television is one of the most profitable aspects of the sport. NASCAR, the racetracks, and the teams each receive a portion of the money. The majority of the percentages that make up the divide are not reported. However, it has been suggested that 10% of TV money goes directly to NASCAR, while 60% goes to the track and 30% goes to the teams in the form of the race purse. NBC held a conference call last year during which they reviewed the current state of the television industry, as well as their plans for the future of the firm. So this year, NBCSN didn't exist, and as a result, things got changed. At the conclusion of the 2024 season, the television contract with NASCAR will come to an end. Executives from NBC had stated that they anticipate NASCAR to continue in this same vein through the year 2025. It is not apparent if the implementation of a paywall will help or damage the funding of the sport if one is built. The money from TV subscriptions is definitely going to play a role in the upcoming deal, but a decrease in viewers would probably have a negative impact on the revenue from advertisements, as well as the overall worth of NASCAR sponsorships. So what conclusions did NASCAR teams come to? NASCAR and the Race Team Alliance (RTA) are currently in the process of negotiating a new deal that would take effect in the year 2025. At the conclusion of the 2024 racing season, the licensing and television contracts for NASCAR will come to an end. The rights to submit the initial offer to extend those television contracts have been granted to Fox and NBC. Having said that, concurrently the RTA will be required to negotiate a new contract with NASCAR itself. At the moment, the majority of a NASCAR team's budget comes from sponsorship. Owners have said that this is a failing business model, and that in order for teams to function, they want a far higher share of the revenue generated from television broadcasts in the form of purse money. All of the charter teams are members of the RTA, which is an organization. They wanted to preserve their investments, so they came together to have a stronger voice when communicating with NASCAR and to help guide the sport in the way it should go. At the beginning of this year, the terms of those negotiations were made public. In response to the RTA's request for greater money for the teams, NASCAR proposed only a slight increase in the percentage of earnings that would be shared with the teams. In addition to that, they detailed an additional strategy to assist in cutting costs. Members of the RTA went public after receiving a response like that from NASCAR. According to multiple members, the RTA and NASCAR are miles apart in terms of reaching an agreement on a new deal. What are your thoughts regarding off-season races? Let us know in the comments below. That's all for today. Hope you enjoyed it. So don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to see more of our videos on NASCAR updates. Look forward to seeing you in the next video.